If you were offered a large sum of money, but by accepting it meant that a random person that you didn't know would die as a result, then would you still accept the money?
If you push the button, first, someone somewhere in the world will die. Second, you will receive a payment of $1 million.
Mr. Beast made a poll asking a similar question a few days ago, and nearly 50% of people said yes, that they would take the money. And if you think that that's bad, just wait until you hear the price that they agreed they would do it for. Now, when I first saw the results of this poll, I thought, man, people today have completely lost all respect for human life.
What are you doing? Burying you.
But as I thought more about it, I realized that I was asking the wrong question. I mean, as the poll even shows, clearly those that answered yes care about their own life enough to enhance it by making some fast money. So valuing human life isn't necessarily the right question. The real question is, which human lives do they believe are more valuable than money, and which ones are they willing to put a price on? Now, to be fair, most of us would subjectively consider the lives of our loved ones as more valuable than the lives of people that we don't know. We naturally place a high value on the people that we know and the people that we care deeply about, and this is why those who responded with a yes to Mr. Beast's poll would probably have an entirely different answer if there was a good chance that the random person being killed would be their mother or their wife or their child or whoever it is that means the most to them in this world. They know that trading the lives of their loved ones for selfish gain wouldn't be worth the emotional price that it would cause them as a result. When it comes to the lives of our loved ones, no price would be enough, because simply knowing and loving someone deeply makes their lives invaluable to us. But this actually might be part of the problem.
Hey, we've got a problem here.
If everyone finds the lives of those that they care deeply about to be invaluable, then they might naturally conclude that the opposite is true as well. When they consider a stranger, there's enough emotional distance between them and the death of a random stranger that they wouldn't have to feel all that guilty for causing their deaths. And because the word random was used, it made it easier for them to mentally reduce the person down to a mere number or statistical improbability, rather than seeing them as an individual human being with fears and dreams and hopes and passions just like them. It's been said that this is one of the reasons for why the Nazis used gas chambers rather than other methods of execution. They would often refer to the Jews as Untermenschen, which literally means subhuman, and put them into gas chambers instead of having to look them in the face as they sanctioned their deaths. By doing this, they could avoid being overwhelmed by guilt and having to see their human expressions. This made it easier for them to keep their emotional distance, and the easiest way to do that was to see them not as human, but as subhuman. You could also take the topic of abortion today. Now, if you're someone who believes as I do that the fetus is a baby in its early stages of development, then you might be able to see an overlap here. One reason why so many people are okay terminating a pregnancy is because the baby is inside of the womb and therefore removed from our visual sight. If they can't physically see the human features of the baby inside of them, and they're told that it's just a clump of cells and not human, that allows for more emotional distance, and as a result, its life isn't seen as valuable. Now, of course, this isn't always the case, but in this way, some people can avoid any potential guilt associated with terminating its life. Now, I assume that this would be the same reason that those that responded yes to the poll probably would have a far harder time saying yes if they had to eliminate the strangers themselves, or even if they had to witness the stranger suffer and die. Doing so might force them to see the stranger as having rich emotional lives just like them, and start seeing the strangers as another human being with families and loved ones rather than only a means to their personal financial gain. And now all of this begs the question of, how much was that financial gain? How much are the lives of those strangers worth to those that responded to the poll that Mr. Beast put out? Now, you may have estimated the price to be somewhere around 100 million, but you'd be wrong. Think lower. How about 10 million? Lower. 1 million? Not exactly. Okay, 500,000? 50,000? Nope. Okay, I'll just go ahead and tell you. Nearly half of the 2 million respondents said yes when they were asked if they would sanction someone to death in order to make a whopping $10,000. $10,000. Most people in America who work full time make far more than $10K a year. So to think that less than a year of work is more valuable than human life suggests to me that there's something deeply wrong with just how little our culture values human life. I mean, I couldn't even imagine if Mr. Beast raised the price to $1 million. If he did, I'd assume that it would be far more than 50% of people that would say yes. But no matter how disturbing I find this, I think that there's still one thing that they're right about, and this actually might shock you, but I do agree with their assessment of value. Like it is with everything else, the way that we determine how much something is worth depends on how much people are willing to pay for it.
Show me the money!
If people believe that these glasses are worth $60, then people will pay for it. If they believe that they're not worth 5 cents, then the glasses aren't worth more than 5 cents. And likewise, if people know you and they see your life is invaluable, they believe that you're worth more than all of the money in the world. But if no one knows you and no one would be willing to pay anything for your life, then unfortunately, your life wouldn't have any real and true value. It takes someone to value your life in order for your life to have real value. But thankfully, no matter who you are, your life is worth far more than any amount of money because there's someone that values your life so much that they wouldn't just give all of their money for it. They'd be willing to give their own life for it just so that you could live. That person, of course, is God himself. And this isn't just some slogan to make you feel better about yourself. To prove how much he loved you, he was willing to put on human flesh, break into our historical timeline, enter into our dark and violent world, live a perfect life, and suffer beyond comprehension unto death, also that way you could know how valuable your life is to him. Your life is so valuable that he was willing to take the punishment for all of the things that you did wrong. And he did this in order to give you life, and not just temporary life, but a life that will never end. That's how valuable your life is to him. And yes, that's taken into consideration that he knows all of your worst traits and all of the worst things that you've ever done. He knows you far, far better than anyone else, and far better than you could ever know yourself. And since he died for everyone else as well, that makes the life of every single person on this planet invaluable. All of our lives are valuable because they're valuable to him. Even if you don't know Jesus, what matters is that he knows who you are and he cares deeply about you, and he thinks that you're worth more than all of the matter in the universe. But even from a non-Christian perspective, or from the perspective of someone that doesn't believe in God, if we allow ourselves to dehumanize the people that we don't like and the people that we don't care for, history has proven that dehumanizing others opens the door for cruelty and genocide of unimaginable scales. If people see you or your loved ones as less than human, then this puts you and your loved ones at risk of being seen as disposable if it means someone else's own selfish gain. So I hope that we can all agree that your life is invaluable, and so is the life of your loved ones. And if yours and your loved ones are, then this means that the life of every human being is invaluable and shouldn't be traded for selfish financial gain. Not for 10,000 or even
$1 million.
Maybe ask for more than $1 million.
Even though there's a disturbing number of people in this world that would choose to end your life for their own selfish means, there's also someone that was willing to give their life, not for his personal gain, but for yours. And this is one of the 3 things that makes Christianity different from every other religion. So go ahead and click here to hear the other 2, and I'll see you over there. And if you're one of the ones that answered yes to the poll that Mr. Beast put out, I really hope you don't mind me asking, but what do you mean?